Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. The big question here is, are Overwatch hero pools a bad thing for the game? Now, just to explain what is going on here, in a recent developer update video, Jeff Kaplan says that in Season 21 of Overwatch Competitive, they will be trialing a hero pool system in which every single week of competitive, there will be certain heroes disabled. Now, at the moment, we believe that to be 4 heroes, 1 support, 1 tank, and 2 DPS heroes being disabled by the dev team. Now, we're not sure of the details just yet, although that's kind of what Jeff did say in the update video. But a lot of this stuff is still up for experimentation. There is the chance that maybe we get hero pools that rotate on a daily basis rather than a week, or even on a match basis, which frankly, I think would be quite insane. Okay, so the question here is, are hero pools a bad thing for the game? Now, I want to completely say, hand over heart, as soon as I heard of this news, I was like, oh no, these are developer-imposed hero restrictions. These are the devs straight up saying to us as players of the game, you cannot play this hero. If you want to play, let's just use Lucio as an example. Let's say you're a very good Lucio player and you play Lucio to 3500 SR, and it's by far your best support. That's the hero you want to play, so you go into Overwatch intending to play that hero. However, you cannot play him this week because he has been developer removed from the game. He is part of the hero pool, or he's not part of the hero pool, so you can't play him. What does that player do? Does that player then play another support which they can't play to 3500 level, or do they just play in the arcade, in quick play? There's a lot of different things. Like, at first, I was very apprehensive. I was like, uh-oh, this seems really bad. So the question is, I put this to you guys, right? Because the community reaction to this has honestly been really good. Now, there are a couple of benefits to this system. Namely, it's going to create a lot of meta diversity every single week. If you are a player that plays a bunch of different heroes, it really shouldn't affect you. And in fact, it should make your games feel a lot more fresh and a lot more variety. You won't just be seeing the same heroes over and over again. So from my personal point of view, yeah, this is great. And also, you know, I'm a content creator for Overwatch. So hell, there's going to be a lot of things to make videos on. We can talk about weekly metas. We can talk about why Blizzard have banned certain heroes. There's a lot of different things we can do with this. Of course, not to mention, we are getting rapid meta updates anyway, because the dev team is starting to balance the game much quicker. Anyway, I put this question to you guys, and this is what I want to show you guys on the screen right now. So I asked the question, hero pools are coming to Overwatch. Each week, the devs will ban a number of heroes from play for that week. Good or bad idea? Explain your vote in the comments. Now, of course, not everybody has commented. I think we've got 600 or 700 comments and 20,000 votes almost. So yeah, now you can see the consensus is it's a good idea. 56% think it is a good idea out of 20,000 votes. That is pretty, you know, that's pretty high. You know, you might think, okay, that's pretty close, but it's not actually. That's fairly good. So let's take a look at some of these comments. Now, I have not read through these comments before recording this video because I feel like, you know, why should I do that? Because these comments are the most voted. They're at the top. We can go into detail and we can take a look at them. So let's check this out. So Atomic Age says, I don't see the point of hero pools in a game that has always been advertised as being about adapting to any situation. If I want to change to Ryan, example character subbing anyone I guess, and he is banned for a week, I am going to be mad. Now, this is a really interesting point because I think what we might see is as soon as this system is implemented, and remember guys, this isn't set in stone. The developers are happy to go back on this if it doesn't work and remove it from the game or make other kind of changes, is that once it settles in, once you go to play and you're like, oh, I can't play my hero this week, what do you do? Are you going to be like, okay, I'll just play a different hero? Are you going to be like, all right, I'll play an arcade? My worry is competitive players that just play comp over and over again and are very good with certain heroes will be kind of miffed when their hero is banned, and it might make them not play the game. And of course, that will be a bad thing because surely everything that developers do is to try and make people play the game, stay on the game longer, don't play other games. That's what it's about these days when it comes to the whole gaming ecosystem. So this is a very good point here. So I think this could be maybe a delayed reaction. When it drops, people are kind of like, oh my God, what are the developers doing? Of course, there are a lot of questions here. For example, are the devs going to give us an explanation when they ban a certain hero? Or is it just simply, hey, we don't like these heroes, we're getting rid of them. Now, it must be said, this is completely different to the way the Overwatch League is handling this. Jeff did confirm that the Overwatch League is doing its separate thing with hero pools, and the live game will be very much the developers deciding who they want to remove. Okay, let's move on to the next comment. I still feel that in Overwatch as a whole, there is not an absurd amount of heroes, and limiting them even more isn't a viable option. I feel that this is just an easy way for the devs to shift the meta, but I don't think it will improve gameplay. That's a fair point. You can just take that at face value. That is very much a fair point. Now, one of the hot bits of feedback, and of course this was one of the initial things that I thought about straight away as soon as I read this, in the same update, we have got Jeff talking about doing faster balance updates, faster meta changes, and then he says, oh, but this doesn't actually change the game fast enough, so we're going to introduce hero pools, which are effectively developer-endorsed removal of heroes every single week, so dev bans essentially, from competitive to force the meta to change. Now, yeah, why do we need both? Like, surely try the first one and then go to the second one. But then Jeff did say it takes too long for players to adapt to buffs and nerfs, and the meta can stagnate for a long time, and they're deciding now that no, they want this to change every single week. Now, before we carry on with these comments, I have to say, when it comes to Overwatch League as a spectator, this is frigging amazing, because this means there's going to be different comps all of the time. We're not going to sit there and watch mirror match after mirror match. What we're going to see is suddenly when certain heroes are not available and some are, you might see Tracer specialists start playing Tracer that week. You might see Sabiolby, a fantastic Tracer player, just popping off, or even Prophet just popping off on Tracer. This is going to be fun, and I think as a spectator it's great, but for the teams, and you guys have got to remember, I do work with London Spitfire. Yeah, this is not great. This means you've got a ton of complexity thrown in onto trying to learn map meta, the already established meta, working strategies out, trying to counter what other teams are doing, working out the way other teams play with the meta, then trying to counter them. Now it's like, oh, they might just be banned the heroes, so we're going to have to be very adaptable, and it's a lot of extra work. So you could argue again, this is going to sort of prove which Overwatch League teams have the best coaching staff, and obviously the most adaptable players. Okay, let's move on. So Green Thing says, it should only be DPS. Too few tanks and supports. Yeah, this is viable. This is honestly a viable point of view to have. There is a lot of DPS in the game. So if you start removing tanks and supports, okay, that's not great. But here's the thing. Tanks and supports generally dictate the meta, especially tanks. Whatever tanks are being played, the rest of the team arguably gets built around those tanks. We've seen Sigma and Orisa historically being very strong. So that means certain heroes just simply cannot be played. You're not going to play a Genji, for example, because he's literally throwing because he can't do anything against those tanks, and Sigma can batter him. So then that has other issues with those heroes. And then, of course, it means that certain supports are favored. Certain supports like Moira Batiste start coming into the game more. So yeah, this is a fair point of view. Lefty EX says, they literally just said hero bans aren't happening. What the fuck? It's true. They did say that. But then they said, okay, we're going to ban them for you. Now, there's been a lot of people out there saying, well, hold on. This is very much like a Blizzard approach. This is like, hey, you guys don't really know what you want, so what we're going to do is tell you what you want. Now, they're within their rights to do this. They are the developers of the game. The issue we've got is it might be a little bit too artificial. And of course, what happens that week when Mercy gets banned? It's going to be nuclear. Ladies and gentlemen, all right, let's move on. So, Velkin99 says, hero pools are a good idea, but they should not be week by week. I think it would be better if they were match by match, because players can exploit the week's meta for free SR. On top of that, if players don't like the week's meta, the player count can go down. Now, the thing is, players already exploit the meta right now. They are going to play meta heroes, and that's just that. It doesn't matter how long the meta is going to last for. The issue I've got with doing it on a per match basis is, how would you know who is about to be banned? If I am a McCree one trick as DPS, let's say. Now, that's an extreme example, but let's just roll with it. So I go into the queue. Okay, this is cool. I'm sitting in the queue. The match pops, and McCree is banned. But then maybe Soldier's banned. And maybe I'm terrible and I can't play any of the other characters, but I have to play them. Now, I'm not playing that hero at the level I can play the other heroes that have just been banned. So I think per match might be a little bit too much just for that reason. But then again, this is very much the developers saying, hey, an Overwatch player needs to be able to play a bunch of heroes, not just one. All right, let's move on. So I can't read that, but let's go. So mainly, there is no wrong answer here. This feature is good and bad as long as you look at it from different points of views and aspects. So for high elo, this will be decent, somewhat an improvement, but also annoying because you lose a lot of players since they can't play their favorite hero or something. What will also cause longer queue times. Now, this is a thing, right? Queue times is an issue. If people don't play Overwatch as much as they are now, queue times will go up. That's just a fact. The issue is, though, when you start looking at different points of views and different perspectives and even different levels of the game, yeah, sure. At the higher levels, you could say, hey, this might be better. At the lower levels, not so much. The problem is, if you start breaking it up into, like, per rank, so once you hit Masters or once you hit Diamond and Masters, and I believe Jeff did actually sort of talk about contemplating this idea on the forums, but then it's kind of like you're going down another divergent path there, and everybody's playing sort of a different game. It's like, where's the continuality of the game? Where's the common thread running through the game? Like, are we all playing a different game? I don't know. But, like, it's interesting. Like, hero bans and hero pulls will spice up the game. There is no denying there. Stop repeating arguments. So Dusttown says, stop repeating arguments from streamers and other content creators like not enough heroes for bans or counter-picking won't be possible anymore. As if there is only one hero in the game to soft counter another. Of course, Blizz won't ban Mei, Sombra and McCree at the same time because this isn't basically a bull's paradise. And if you can't counterpick a certain hero this week, the enemy can't either, and not enough heroes will be what will be the critical mass in this file. So basically, right, we don't know who they're going to ban. I think that's the answer to this. Like, we literally don't know what heroes the devs will ban, and will they ban? Could it be gimmicky? And let's say they go, okay, it's no barrier week, and then there's no barrier tanks. Do they just ban one tank? Do they change the amount of heroes they ban? Jeff was very explicit in the dev update saying, look, a lot of this is up in the air. We are not set in stone with the way we're going to do this, and we are going to change it. So season 21 of competitive is very much going to be a very fluid sort of beta season, much like it was with roll queue, I believe. Ryan Davies says, bad idea. As the heroes people want to play may be banned for the week, lowering the game's player base even more, making matchmaking times worse. Fair point. I think this is the right way to do hero bans. Having a hero you wanted to play banned by the other team or your team would have only led to annoyance and toxicity. But by Blizzard banning heroes, you know who is banned before the match, and you can't choose not to play comp. When you can, choose not to play comp if you really want to play one certain hero. Now, we could go on. Like, you guys can see here, there's an absolute ton of comments. Like, we have got 100, like, there's like 700 comments on this. There's loads. I think time will tell. But the good news is the devs are open to making radical changes to the game. Now, like I said, for a content creator, this is fine. We've been making videos on Overwatch for a while now. In fact, you can probably argue for like 18 months maybe, where not much has been happening. Yes, there's been a few new heroes. Yes, there's been a couple of good balance updates or major changes we could talk about. But a lot of the time, it's been very difficult. And you guys have no doubt noticed that, yeah, I think the days are very much gone where it was a video every single day pumped out on Overwatch. Maybe there'll be episodes or periods of time where that's possible, but, you know, it becomes difficult. You could say that with these changes, there's going to be a lot more for creators to talk about, which could capture the attention of you guys again. And that's only a good thing for Overwatch, right? I don't know. It's a very complex issue, but hero bans, are they good or are they bad for Overwatch? I think only time will tell, but it's definitely an interesting time for the game. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa, and this is the Unit Lost channel. If you guys enjoyed the video, then remember you can subscribe to the channel and do click the bell. And also, do follow me on Twitter, which is @Stylosa, and I'm also @Stylosa on Instagram, if that's your thing. All right, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.